Hello, everyone. Good morning. This is Ashanti Gholar, the president of Emerge, and welcome to an election day edition of Races to Watch Live. I am here with my friend Yvonne Gutierrez from SuperMajority, and we are going to have a talk about the power of women voters. Yvonne, how are you today?
I am good. I think like everyone, just a ball of nervous energy and thinking about how to best get through the day. And one thing that I am just telling everyone is if you have 30 minutes, if you have 15 minutes, talk to voters, make sure your friends and family are voting. Let's get everyone to the polls, especially the women in our lives.
Absolutely. So SuperMajority, you've all been a great partner of ours. Tell everyone about the work you do.
Yeah, no, happy to do that. Well, and I can't say enough really about your partnership, Ashanti, and your leadership. Just thank you so much. I was over the moon when it was announced that you were going to be leading the organization.
And thank you.
Just so have been blown away really of the work that you all have done over the years and the time and attention that is paid to these women candidates and their campaigns, and just such amazing women have come out of your programs. And so just thank you for the work that you do. Yes. No, well, in the SuperMajority, our whole goal is building political power for women. We are a advocacy home. We are multiracial, we are intergenerational, and we give women opportunities to engage really wherever they are. And we kind of like to think of it as like a runway of activism, right? It's not necessarily a ladder. It's, you step on and you do what you can. We will give you the training, we will give you the tools and the resources in order to engage. We've millions and millions of texts to voters this cycle. We have done tens of thousands of phone calls. We are really just all hands on deck for this election, but have also done a lot of really interesting and compelling research this year on women, especially women of color, not just around the election, but also what are the issues that are important to them? What do they want to see from their government, and what are their values, and how are they really voting with their values? And our super rule at SuperMajority is centering the lives and experiences of women of color. And we know that the women that are closest to the work, that are closest to everything that is happening on the ground, those are the ones who are the best decision makers, and they are the ones who need to be leading us. And so we are just really happy to bring women together and really create opportunities for them to engage and take action.
You all have done so much work to get women to take action. And I want to dive a little bit into that research. They're saying already almost 100 million people have voted, which is amazing. And we're also seeing that a majority of those voters have been women. But there's been a real split when it comes to values of women. And a lot of them are leaning towards the Biden-Harris ticket. With your research, did it surprise you at all to really kind of see this gap, the gender gap in voting, and also where women voters are leaning?
It did not surprise us. What we learned really through our research and through talking to thousands of women is that they want a leader who will end COVID-19 pandemic. I think that is top of mind for everyone. There was not a single conversation that we had. Combat the rampant racism and racial injustice. These are issues that are at the core, and we know, this year in particular, and I think that women, white women as well, who have really recognized what the problems in not only the systemic problems in our society, but the way in which this administration has exacerbated those and made those just really a horrible component of their campaign. But also they want to see the Affordable Care Act in place. They want, to protect minimum wage. They want to increase minimum wage. They want more stimulus payments. And they really want us, they want our democracy protected. And I think that through what the rhetoric and the messages and really the bold plans, from the Biden-Harris ticket have spoken to those in so, in so many ways. And I think that has really motivated women to get to the polls. And in our target states of Michigan, Arizona, and Pennsylvania, of the votes that have cast, by far have been majority women, so we've seen over 50% in each of those, well over 50%. And I'm sorry that I don't know how to turn off my alert.
No worries. It is election day. We know the alerts are going to be going crazy.
The alerts are going crazy. But, we've also seen that, kind of based on projections of, who those, women are voting for, it has largely been, by more than 10 points in each of those states, geared toward, have been votes for Biden Harris. And I think that is indicative of what we've seen really through the messaging of the campaign and where women are sitting right now with the issues that are center in their lives.
SuperMajority, you all did an amazing event called Supercharged All In. It was virtual. I loved every single moment of it. It was really well done. And there was definitely the centering of women of color, Black, brown, Indigenous women. So with women of color voters, are there any issues in particular for them that you're seeing are really resonating and that's driving them to vote this cycle?
Well, I spoke to this earlier, but I think, ending systemic racism and inequality, that is really top of mind. We saw that in our polling from early fall. That is really at the center. And I think that, again, back to like just the hateful message and rhetoric we've seen from the Trump administration, and it has been something that has really hit women of color, I think, in a way that while, Ashanti, we know that these problems have existed. I mean, I'm sorry, hundreds of years. This is not new. This is not news. Police brutality is not news. Like this has been huge for our communities. I think that the opportunity that we have to make some change has really driven women of color. And Black women have been leading the Democratic Party, largely voters. I am sorry, they have been just getting it done every single cycle. As a Latina, I always tell my sisters, I'm like, hey, we got something to learn. We need to get our people out the way that Black women do. You all are amazing. But I do think that, there's even more of a drive this cycle. And, because they want the economic relief, because they want leaders who are going to be strong in addressing the pandemic and providing healthcare and really not just protecting our democracy in the, kind of literal sense, but really also everything that we saw with kind of possible vote shenanigans from, that rhetoric from Trump and that we've heard from Republican leaders in various states is terrifying. And that is something that, we've seen, we all know, 100 million people now that have voted early, which is amazing. But largely, and I was looking at some of those numbers, Black women at the top for voting early, largely women of color, majority women, because they know they want their vote counted. They don't want to live in this world where it's like there will be a question about their vote. And they want to make sure that we are putting an end to this kind of behavior. You and I were talking about this before we went live, the idea that, our votes, can't be hijacked. And I think that we really need to communicate and, convey to our folks, we got to vote early. We got to you got to show up on election day, do so safely in person. Let's not let any of this intimidation scare us. And for the future, let's make sure that we have a process that we know that we can depend on and that will not be messed with. And I think that that's where women of color, especially Black women, are saying we've had enough. After Stacey Abrams, no.
Yeah. I was on the ground in Georgia in 2018. I went out there the last few days to do some work with Higher Heights. They were supporting Stacey and also our Emerge alum, Lucy McBath, and to just be on the ground and to see the suppression firsthand, someone just doesn't forget to put all the power cords in the van
Thank
for
you.
the voting machines.
Right.
It is extremely intentional. And Supermajority, before we went into quarantine, you all were traveling across the country, and you talked earlier about some of the states that are going to make an impact.
Mhm.
For Supermajority, where are you really seeing states where women of color are going to show up and show out, not only for the top of the ticket, but for all these incredible women we have down ballot?
Well, I mean, and I mentioned earlier, the states that we've been focused on are Arizona, Pennsylvania, and Michigan because we know that they're so important. We have particularly been targeting young women and women of color in those states. It's always so wonderful when you refresh your voter list and you see how many women have voted. Like, that is such a good feeling every day. I highly encourage doing that. It is a feel good, but really also in states in North Carolina, in Georgia, in my home state of Texas, which it has been so exciting. We were so thrilled to surpass in early voting all 2016 votes. To know that so many women, and Ai-jen Poo, one of our co-founders, tells a wonderful story about a woman in Texas who is a home healthcare worker in her 60s and just had never really had time. She worked 12-hour days, she had children, she had not ever gone to vote. And this year she made the time and she went to cast her ballot. And I think that that's so much of what we're seeing right now. And through our bus tour, we, oh gosh, that just feels like a million years ago now. we hit, it was 19 cities that we visited through that bus tour, traveling from Georgia all the way up and down and over to ending in Las Vegas. Was really exciting, but it was also really telling at that time of just how many women were ready to take action. And this was in September of last year. And so we've continued to see that. And we have a wonderful program at Supermajority, and our volunteer program, our Super Majors. And they have just been killing it. They have been volunteering several nights a week. They have been getting their friends and family to vote. They have been getting women in their lives to utilize the tools that we have on our website, which you can get all of the information that you need in order to vote, where you can also take action on other issues. We know for our wonderful partners and like the coalitions that are doing so much of the important racial justice and economic justice work that we include on our website to take action on. But then, I think that it's also, how are we just getting folks to get involved and get engaged for the first time? And it is that, relational organizing, that relational touch. And that's been something that we've really ingrained in the work of Supermajority, and like the kind of idea of the put your own oxygen mask on first, like get all the information that you need. And then, get your friends and your family to vote. And I've just seen, even from my family, from my, my cousins, my primas and my tias, that I've received so many text messages from group chains, and I'm sure families are seeing this all over, of like, have you voted? Go vote. Do you know where your polling location is? Which is really great. And I'm thrilled and really proud of the work that we've done at Supermajority to really ingrain just the opportunities and also to bring joy to this work. 2020, I mean, friend, like it's been a lot. And so to just be able to bring that, to bring joy to their activism and volunteering and to talking to voters is such a huge part. We were so thrilled to have Secretary Clinton join us on a phone bank yesterday, which was really, really great. And we've had just amazing visitors. We have Fatima Goss-Graves, who's going to join us on a phone today for our Michigan phone bank. She is a Michigan native. And so we're just really trying to just, bring in these amazing women and voices to just like power us through, get us inspired. to continue doing the work, because we're phone banking all the way up until 9 p.m. Eastern, because we got polls on the West Coast that are closing later.
I feel that's the perfect way to end our conversation, talking about joy, activism. If people are watching and they want to sign up for one of those phone banks, where can they go?
SuperMajority.com. Just go to our website. We have immediately the opportunity. You can click on an opportunity to participate in a phone bank. We've got them running all day. Would love to have you join us. And I think that as we are, really just supportive of all the amazing work that is happening today. And Ashanti, thank you so much for not just having me, but for your tremendous leadership. Not just in the role, in your huge role with Emerge, but as an activist and as a leader for our communities. I just thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you for everything that you do. Everyone, we were chatting with Yvonne Gutierrez, my friend from SuperMajority, who she does amazing work. And it's weird not seeing her in person, because we would be at all the conferences and conventions. But I can't wait until I get to see you again and give you a big hug. And we get to celebrate everything that SuperMajority helped make happen in 2020.
Yes, and excited to cheer on all of your women tonight.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you for the next Races to Watch Live.
Sounds great. Thank you.